Hello everyone, welcome back to DIY Beauty on Purpose. My name is Leonette and today I am bringing you over 30 anyone can make Dollar Tree DIYs. For this DIY, I am going to start with this Dollar Tree home sign. You've probably seen me use several of them because I love how versatile they are. Again, I am going to remove the tin heart, keep that for another DIY, remove any excess paper that kind of lift it up, and then just give everything 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. Using my Cricut, I cut the word Farmhouse in a cursive font, and I am going to place it right on the top of the sign. I'm going to show you a little trick here that I use. When I have a word that is kind of long or a phrase that is kind of long, instead of cutting a long piece of transfer tape, which is going to take up a lot of your transfer tape and then have like excess, I just place it in pieces. So I take it in the, as long as it allows me, as long as the tape is. So this, in this case, is 12 inches. And I'm just going to piece it together. That way I'm not unrolling a whole 23-inch tape and then have like a whole ton left over because it's so thin. So like I said, I'm just going to place it on the top of the sign. I'm going to take this piece of 1x2. I cut it to about 23 inches. The sign itself is about 23.5. So I cut it for about 23 inches. I'm going to place it on the back of it and I'm going to attach it using brad nails, and I'm going to have it right around the middle of the sign. I'm going to use some Dollar Tree caulk just to fill in those little tiny holes that it left, and then once dry, sand it down. I am now going to mark on 5 spots in the middle of the board. They're about 3.5 to 4 inches apart, and then I'm going to drill holes right where I mark. I'm going to use these hooks and I'm going to screw them in each hole. Now I'm going to take these Dollar Tree little St. Patrick's Day pots. They are plastic and they're just so cute. I'm going to place some floral foam inside of them and add some greenery. I started placing some boxwood in it and then some succulents, but I ended up just placing succulents on all 5 of them. Once I have them done, I am going to drill a couple holes and add some rope so that I can hang the sign from, and then hang each little pot from a hook, and then that's it for this one. This one turned out super beautiful. I love the way it turned out. I wish it was a little thicker so that I could have left the boxwood. I think it would have looked better with the different kind of florals, but nonetheless, I think with the succulents it looked really cute. get foam board at the Dollar Tree, and I've been loving working with foam board. It's just so much fun, and you can just create so many things. So what I'm doing here is something extremely simple anybody can do, and it's just some triangle trees. I've created several throughout the Christmas season, and these I decided to make more with a wintry farmhouse look. So I'm just going to cut this piece of leftover foam board to fit the larger triangle of the two. I'm going to make two of them, a larger and a smaller one. And as you can see, I'm just cutting, I think it was like 6 inches or 5 inches. I can't remember. But nonetheless, whatever size you want to create. And I'm just using my X-Acto knife from Artisa, and I'm just going to cut. Once I had both triangles cut to the size that I wanted, I'm going to use this Dollar Tree dusting mop, and I am going to just hot glue the piece of foam board right onto it. Basically, I just want to cover the front of the trees with this fuzzy white fabric that it has, and it just gives it a little bit of more of a wintry snow-like effect. And so it is kind of messy working with it, but in the end it gives you a great, beautiful look. So what I'm doing here is I'm just removing any excess, and then anywhere where a lot of the fuzzies came off and it was just a little too bare, no big deal. I'm just hot gluing some of the little fuzzies that fell, and then I'm just going to trim it, making sure it looks nice and groomed. And I'm going to do the same thing with the larger one. Once I had the trees all trimmed and ready, I am now going to hot glue them to a couple of these Dollar Tree stems. I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. Alright, so for this next DIY, I am going to take one of these jars from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the lid. I am now going to take this leftover knob from an old dresser that I work on, and I am going to hot glue it as well as E6000 it onto the center on the top. Once that is fairly dry, I am going to then start painting it using this Dixie Belle beautiful green tone in the kudzu green. I'll have their link down in the description box. It is beautiful. Dixie Belle sent me this paint, and I used it to redo a little table, and then a couple other things here and there, but I just love the tone, and the coverage is phenomenal. So I'm just going to give it one coat. Actually, I think it was about 1.5. I just went back after the first coat was dry and just filled in a few little spots, but it didn't need much. Alright, so while the lid is dry, I am going to take this little chalkboard. It used to have like a little like steak pick, like I just removed that. It's from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to hot glue it right to the front of the jar. And now I'm going to take some Dollar Tree jute twine, and I'm going to wrap it around the top of the jar, and making sure that it's not going to overlap where the lid is going to screw on. And that's it. I'm just going to make a very simple knot. I contemplated doing a little bow, but I think it just looks simpler and just nicer with a simple knot. Cut the excess. I'm going to add some of these beads just because I just love the tone of them, and I just have plenty of them. Now I'm going to place the lid, and look how beautiful this jar looks. I mean, it could be used in the bathroom with cotton swabs or just whatever you want, and it's just beautiful. I love that green. You're going to see that green here a couple of more times, but I really love the way this turned out. Alright guys, so for this next DIY, I'm going to take this red truck Christmas sign from the Dollar Tree. I didn't use it in my Christmas DIYs, but I thought I'd use it to create more of a farmhouse truck. I removed the little string of berries that was strung around the tree, and I also sanded down the Merry Christmas words that were very glittery. And now I'm going to give it 3 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Back to what used to be home, passing by those little towns I know so well, stopping for gas and then I'm behind the wheel again. Driving is like a spiritual cleanse where every mile is a new beginning and every bend holds a new end.
I decided to add a little bit of like snow-like, frost-like to the tires. No specific reason why, I just thought it would look cute. And then after that was done, I just wanted to use that same green just so that every one of my decors kind of tie in together. I will be adding the snow again with paint, but I just wanted it to lighten up that green. And then once everything was dry, it was time to add a little bit of dimension to the truck. So I thought about using some antiquing wax from our Waverly. And I'm just going to focus on the edges and create some dimension and details on the truck.
For the sky, I had it all but lost and fell back down again. Spent my time playing the...
And as I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to add the snow that was on the tree right back on it. You can still see where it was because it was a little bit glittery, and I painted right over it, so I knew exactly where it would go. And I'm just using the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And then we'd be done with this one, guys. What a perfect way to reuse this red truck that I just didn't use in my Christmas decor and give it more of a farmhouse neutral colors. I love, love, love.
I'm living fast, I've lost my soul, I'm driving to get away, running through emotions.
You're interested. Alright guys, so next DIY, I'm going to use this scrapped leftover leg from somewhere. I think it was part of a spindle. It wasn't a leg, it was a spindle from a old table that I redid and made it into a sign. And I kept them because, you know, I just always keep everything. I'm going to hot glue an E6000, a lid from a jar from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to then give everything 2 coats of that kudzu Dixie Belle chalk paint.
Give me love, give me all your love, oh, 'cause I want you.
Alright guys, so we're just about done with this one. Another easy one. So if you do not have a spindle like this one, you can find them all the time, either at the thrift store or at the Habitat for Humanities. Or you can just make your own spindle using different supplies. I love the way this one turned out. I love the color and how simple, just using a lid for a candle. I added one of those tea little candles that have a good shape right on top, and it's from the Dollar Tree. Beautiful.
Makes me feel this way. Don't know what you do. Hold my hand. Could you hold my hand? Look.
Description box. All right, so for this next DIY, I am going to use this tag sign from our Christmas Dollar Tree stash that I never used. And I'm going to just flip it over and give the backside 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white because we're going to create a beautiful farmhouse sign.
Cigarettes on the table, dirty plates on the stove. I don't know if you know where to start, but I know where you'd like to be. I'm afraid that I've lost you, 'cause you're hiding from me.
Once it was dry, I am now going to use this leftover decal from the Dollar Tree. I love using these decals. If you have not used them yet, I highly recommend you use them. It is such a great way to add just phrases and words to signs and decor, and so inexpensive. If you don't have a cutting machine, this is a great way to go. So I have used this, this is just like I said, a portion of this decal, and it fit perfect, guys. I mean, talk about lucky, huh? I'm just going to place it towards the bottom side of the sign. And then once I have that in place, I am just going to start placing some greenery. This greenery is not from Dollar Tree. However, Dollar Tree does carry a lot of greenery that have those simple leaves similar to this one. This is just what I had on hand, but you can certainly use whatever greenery you may have or florals that you may have from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to hot glue them, not directly on the top, but more towards like the middle of the top, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to add a little loose multiple loop bow using jute rope. I got this on Amazon. Again, it's just what I had on hand, but you can certainly use jute twine from the Dollar Tree or even nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. I'm just making a very simple bow, and I'm going to hot glue it right to the center of the greenery.
Yeah, it shows that it's cost you a lot to be like the rest of us. To be like the rest of us. I've been waiting so long for.
And then to finish it off, I'm just going to add more of that jute rope and add it to, or thread it through the little hole. And that's something to be able to hang it from, although I'm not hanging it right as of yet, but I do want that as an option to hang it. And I think this sign turned out absolutely stunning. It has a very bright, just a fresh looking farmhouse style, and I just love the way it turned out.
I know that is in you. I know that is in you. Dancing away with the world in your eyes. Oh, goodbye, Virginia. Goodbye, Virginia.
All right, my friends, moving along here. So this next DIY, I'm going to use 4 of these Dollar Tree canvases, and I am going to remove the canvas fabric from it. Now, removing these tables is just, I can't stand it. So I started very motivated and removed all the staples and removed everything. And then after the first one, I was like, okay, I'm done. So I removed the fabric canvas, but I just didn't remove the staples on the back. So sorry about that, but I just didn't want to go through it. It really didn't need it to be removed. So now I'm going to place them all right next to each other to create a window-like, which is what we'll be creating. And I'm going to just hot glue each one to each other and then staple them using my staple gun. And that way it'll be nice and secure. And of course, I am stapling it on the back side. So where the old staples are at, back side, so that way when I flip it over, it'll be nice and seamless in the front. And there it is, a beautiful window form using these canvases frames. So beautiful. Now I am going to give it one coat, but it's going to be a pretty heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Lost road, crossroad, ocean and sky. Soul searching, soul hurting, fire and ice. Raindrops, teardrops, a good old cry.
Alright guys, so now I am going to take this wreath form from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to just start putting some of those same leaf picks that I got on Amazon. I'm just going to not even hot glue them. I'm just going to kind of put them right in through that jute twine that is on there. That way I can save the wreath as well as the leaf picks and use them whenever I'm done with this decor. Again, I'm just going to place them all around and create a nice farmhouse style wreath. And I'm going to then add a screw onto the window so that I can hang the wreath from. And boy, did this turn out beautiful, guys. What a beautiful decor using mostly Dollar Tree items. But really, if you don't have these leaves, I mean, Dollar Tree has all kinds of greenery that you can use right on their wreath forms. And look how beautiful it turned out.
Daytime and nighttime, the light makes me blind. Lifeless scars. You're the only one with access to the backstage of my heart. Will heal the broken parts. You walked this road before.
Alright guys, so for this next DIY, I'm going to use 3 of these foam balls from the Dollar Tree. Now, I got these during the Christmas season, but you can get these year-round in the craft floral section. So really, really cool ways. They have different sizes. I'm going to use 2 of the larger ones and then 1 medium-sized one. And I'm going to start by wrapping the first one using nautical rope strands. So what I do is I take the nautical ropes from the Dollar Tree. I separate all the strands. And when you separate them, you get these individual strands that look like a whole bunch of jute twine. And that's exactly what I want this first ball to have, that look. I'm just going to, very easy, just keep going around and around, hot gluing it until the entire thing is covered. For this next ball, I am going to use a mop. I thought about using yarn, but it would have taken me a lot longer. So I think mop did the job. This is from Dollar Tree, a mop that is very simple to remove its strands from. And I'm going to do the same technique. Start very small on the top and then work my way around, hot gluing as I go.
Look out, here she comes. The woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her.
And for the final ball, I am going to use some moss. Recently, I created some Christmas decor using moss and I loved it. So I thought it would be really cool to add one more ball using the moss. And again, staying with that fresh green farmhouse style that I've been going with. And same kind of style, I am just going to keep hot gluing section by section, placing the moss. And then towards the end, you just kind of want to just play with the ball. Just press it, making sure, almost like a snowball. You just want to pack it in there so that moss is as packed as possible. And then that's it for that one, guys. Another beautiful, so easy DIY that anybody can make using Dollar Tree items.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head. But it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead.
So I'm going to start using 8 painter sticks. These are the regular size ones. I get these in bulk on Amazon, but you can certainly get them at the hardware store. You can get, I think it's like a little pack of like maybe 6 or 5 of them for 98 cents. Very, very inexpensive. So I'm going to line up 8 of them next to each other, but I'm going to alternate that little curved part, one going up, one going down. That way they're not all on one side. And then I am going to take 2 other ones and I am going to measure and cut so that they fit perfectly going across each or across the painter sticks. And I'm going to hot glue them, one on the top and one at the bottom.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me. I know I don't.
Next, I am going to take this leftover canvas, like the fabric that's on the canvas, and I am going to cut off the parts where it's all broken and folded. And now I am going to cut shapes of leaves. There is no right or wrong way, guys. Seriously, I just want to cut them to where they have the shape of a leaf. And I'm going to cut right about, I would say 10 or 12, give or take. And I'm going to cut some larger ones than other ones.
So I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too.
Once I have them cut, I am now going to make a slit right on the bottom of the leaf. I'm going to try, when you cut them, try to leave one end flat instead of pointy. So once you cut a slit, then you're just going to crisscross them just like that and hot glue them so that they have so they're a little bit lifted. And you're going to do that to all of them.
Later it comes later, dear. For many of us, I promise you that we learn through the wrongs and even the rough.
Now I am going to kind of fold them back. So you see what I'm doing? Just kind of bring the top a little bit back so they sit flush with the board. And I am going to here just kind of dry fit the larger ones. So I'm going to start with the larger ones and move up to the smaller ones. And I'm going to start with 4 and then, I'm sorry, not 4, 5, and then move on to 4 and then move on to 3, that kind of thing.
Can be sweet. Just close your eyes and know beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me It's gonna take some time to get there. I don't care. I'm in for the fight. It's gonna take some time.
Taking the leftover pieces of canvas, I'm just going to cut a circle to fit right in the center of the flower, hot glue it in the center. And then I'm just going to add some nautical rope to the back so that we can hang it. And that's it. How simple, how easy. And it took me, I want to say, maybe about 6-7 minutes. And that's just because I had a couple mishaps with glue where I got burned and it spilled. Other than that, it really is a quick 5-minute DIY. I love the way this one turned out.
Beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. Beauty lives trust you when you say
All right, so for this next DIY, I'm going to take one of these little tea candle glass like holder, and then a one of those very almost like V-shaped candles. They are beautiful. I have never found these or saw these at Dollar Tree. Recently saw them and I grabbed a couple. And I'm going to flip over the tea candle holder, and I'm going to add some E6000 and hot glue, and then hot glue it to the bottom of the candle. I am now adding a few little evergreen picks, not evergreen. These are like frosted, almost like boxwood picks. I got several of them at the Dollar General for $1. You see the little bundle there. And I'm just going to take a couple of the little branches and hot glue them to the bottom or underneath the candle. And I'm also going to add a little tiny white flower from some flowers that I don't even know where they came from, but they were there. And I think this candle holder turned out absolutely adorable, and it could be added to any style of decor. Alright, for this next DIY, I am going to take this Dollar Tree glass vase, and I'm just going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And I'm going to speed up the process, I am going to use my heat gun to dry it in between.
lost road, crossroad, ocean and sky. Soul searching, soul hurting, fire and ice. Raindrops, teardrops, a good old cry. Daytime and nighttime, the light makes me blind. Life leaves scars. You're the only one with access.
I am now going to take this Dollar Tree decal number. I'm going to take number 1, but if you're going to recreate something like this, you can certainly use any number you want. I'm just going to place it right in the center in the front of the vase. And then I'm going to add some greeneries that I have had for a while that I got on Amazon. And that's it for this one. Just another easy, super beautiful DIY that anyone can make. I also want to remind you that I do have an Instagram account that I post daily, guys, sometimes multiple times a day, little snip clips of videos, behind the scenes look, and I'd love to connect with you there. I do have the link down in the description box as well. All right, for this next DIY, I am going to take this canvas, but this one is on like the flat ones, the real thin ones. I'm just going to need one of them, and I'm not going to do anything to it, but I am going to take this butterfly welcome sign that I have had since the summer, and I never used it. I am going to remove the butterfly and save the welcome for another DIY.
Find the remedy, or would you stay with me now till the morning light?
Once I have the butterfly, or I took out the top butterfly as you saw, I'm going to keep this one just like is. I'm just going to kind of fold the leaves, or not the leaves, the wings a little bit upwards so that way it has like a 3D effect. And I'm going to hot glue it to the bottom right of the canvas.
Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find.
To the remaining part of the butterfly, I'm going to remove the little sticks that were in the back, and I am going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the charcoal tone. And again, to speed up the process, I am going to use my heat gun to dry it in between coats. Once it was dry, I am now going to fold the wings again just a little upward so that they have more of a 3D effect, and hot glue the top butterfly to the bottom one. I am now going to take this Dollar Tree decal, and I am going to just use the bottom floral section, and I am going to place them kind of like if they're coming right from behind the butterfly going upwards, and I'm going to use both of them. And to finish things off, I'm just going to add more nautical rope to the back of this one so that we can hang it as well. And that's it for this one. Such an easy one. I love the black and white look, and it's so beautiful. Alright, for this next DIY, I am going to use one of these beautiful jars. It has such a beautiful, unique shape. I'm going to remove the lid, and I'm going to place one of these glass knobs. I always keep these on hand. I get them on Amazon. And guys, I do have a lot of these supplies in my Amazon store, which is linked down in the description box. I'm going to use a 6000 and hot glue to secure it to the top of the lid. I am now going to take another one of those decal numbers. This time I'm going to take number 4, and I'm going to place it right in the front, but towards the bottom right of the jar. And now I am going to take some jute twine from the Dollar Tree, wrap it around the base of the jar, making sure that I do not overlap where the lid is going to screw in, and make a simple knot in the front. And that's it. This one is by far probably the easiest, but is probably the most beautiful. I don't know. There's something about that glass knob that I used on top, and just leaving it simple. This could be used in the bathroom. This could be used in the kitchen. It can be used in a bedroom to store just whatever, scrunchies, whatever you may need it for. Is just so, so beautiful and so easy.
Get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options.
So this time around, I am not using my Cricut because I figured I'd show you how you can use these $1 decals from the Dollar Tree and make them into beautiful decor. So for the first one, I am taking a 22-inch board that I cut. It was a little longer. It was a piece of scrap board that my husband had in the basement, because we're kind of fixing our basement. And so I grabbed it and I cut this piece. And I'm going to use this decal from the Dollar Tree, with this beautiful, it says, do not worry about anything, instead pray about everything. It's one of my favorite scriptures, and I think the design is absolutely beautiful. So basically, the way you work these decals is you just take off like a sticker and place them like a sticker. You just want to make sure that whatever board you're working on, you know for sure is going to fit it. That way, it's just a lot easier. Once you have everything placed where you want it, if you do need to move things, some things here and there, you can, and it'll still stick.
Tonight we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away, I just want you to know.
I am going to place a couple screws right on top. In addition to showing you how you can use these Dollar Tree decals, I am also going to give you several ideas on how you can create the signs, materials to use, how to hang them, and that kind of thing. So this first one, I am going to screw a couple screws 3 inches in from each side. And then I am going to simply take one of those little like chains that you can find at the Dollar Tree. They're to hang baskets out in the summer. I am going to use one of them, remove the little hook from the end, and then I am going to use that and tighten as I can so that it is nice and snug and it will not come off. I use these little chains all the time, and I love the way they look.
I didn't throw your stuff away before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find. I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over. I swear that I'm sober. Just listen.
I'm going to now take some florals. These are some florals from a combination of Dollar General as well as some, the pink one is one I got on Amazon, but I'm just going to use a few of them. I'm going to tie them together in the center using some jute twine from Walmart, and then hot glue it to the top of the sign right inside where the, right in the center, right in the middle on the top. And that's it, guys. This one was so easy to do, and it's beautiful. This design is absolutely stunning, and I think these decals are just so easy to work with. Anyone can do it.
And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Till the morning light. Till the morning light. Till the morning light. Yeah.
All right, this next sign, I am going to use these painter sticks that you can purchase at any hardware store. I do get mine in bulk from Amazon, which turned out to be very inexpensive. I am going to use, let's see, it's about 9 of them. And then I'm going to use 2 of them going horizontally. I'm going to mark them and then cut them using my shears, and then hot glue them in each end to create a board.
Going back to my old hometown, picking up the years I leave behind. Getting in my car, I drive as memories fly by. Driving by the fields I used to run through, where you were chasing me. We were riding out under the bleachers when no one could see. Oh,
And now I am going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
sweet memories of the town I loved, but oh, changed when you left. I keep on asking myself in my mind, were you the one that got away? Moved a few times but ended up in Nashville. Try to settle my restless.
Once it was dry, I'm now going to use this decal from the Dollar Tree. It says wash, dry, fold, repeat. I thought it would be super cute for any laundry. I don't have a formal laundry. I mean, we do, but it's just not very pretty right now. One day we'll fix it up, but I think if this would be great to put in any laundry, and I might use it to give it as a gift. So basically, same concept. You're just gonna, take them. One thing that I learned using these through the months, through the years, is that if you're not sure where to place them, you don't have to press them, right away. You can just kind of place them gently. They won't stick much at all. And that way you can kind of see where you want to put all of them at and then move as you need and then press them down and really stick them. So again, very easy to work with. And like here, I put the dry before the bundle of clothes and it should have been the other way around. So I just removed it and switched it and it works actually fine.
Got a job that felt like forever when I met you. You made me happy, we danced through the night. Life was music and I was your wife. Time flies and the years went by. Still I tried.
Alright, so for this one, I am going to use a jute twine to hang it, and I'm just going to drill a couple holes on the top of the sign and then thread the jute twine through, knot it, and that's how we will hang this one. Again, such a very simple, very inexpensive supplies, and that Dollar Tree decal, how beautiful is that?
Sweet memories of a town I loved, but changed when you left. I keep on asking myself in my mind, were you the one that got away? Went for the dream, but I got lost. This house I leave is nothing like us. Chased happiness, ended up on a one-way street. We're leading nowhere, that's why I leave. Past the creek where we used to swim. Jump the fence before the summer begins and get
For this next sign, I am going to use this leftover Christmas sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to flip it over. I removed the ribbon, and now I'm going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And this is going to be a very choppy 2 coats. I'm not looking for perfection because I want it to have a distressed look.
give me love, give me all your love.
Once it was dry, I gently sanded it over with a 120 grit sandpaper and then dusted it. Because it already has that plank look on the sides, I decided to go ahead and just draw lines going across and highlight that plank look.
'Cause I want you. No one else makes me feel this way. Don't
I am now going to take another laundry themed decal from the Dollar Tree and I am going to place it horizontally on the board. So basically this one says laundry room and then it has a whole list of things to do that you're not going to do. It's really cute. I really like this one. So I decided to cut. That's another wonderful thing about these decals is you can cut as you need it to fit the board that you have available. So in this case, I'm going to cut several of them and I'm going to place them one in the center on the top and then 2 on each side, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But again, very easy to work with.
what you do. Hold my hand, could you hold my hand? Look me in the eyes. You and me, yeah, that's all I need. And I'll be all.
So these little bundles of fabric I do get at Walmart and they have several styles in each bundle and they have about, I think it's like a quarter of a yard and it's really cool, some really cool prints. So I'm going to use this one to hot glue it on the back. That way it doesn't have that Santa design, although it's pretty. It just doesn't go with the black and white theme here. So I'm just going to cut a piece, hot glue it to the back and then trimming the edges with an X-Acto knife. That way it'll be nicely trimmed and groomed around it.
I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If
And look how cute it looks. And now it just looks clean and looks professional. So even if I wanted to gift it to somebody, it looks like it just, professional. So now I'm just going to poke here, find the holes, and just poke a hole all the way through. I'm going to use a leftover chain from that chain that we used earlier. And at this time, I'm going to use 2 of the hooks and hook it there. Now, when I hooked them up, it just was a little bit too long. So I ended up removing some links and then moving the hook a little further down. And that way it was a little bit more appropriate sized for the board. And that's it for this one, guys. Another beautiful one and so easy to make.
Tell me what you wanna do. I'll do anything. As long as I can be here with you, everything's alright. I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you.
So for this DIY, I am going to start with this home sign that I recently got at the Dollar Tree. It has this galvanized heart, which of course I'm going to keep because it's super cute and I may use it for other DIYs. But otherwise, I am just going to leave everything as is, and I am going to give it 2.5 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. I just recently also got this windmill from their kind of like their garden section. They are starting to put everything out, and I'm so happy. I literally got like 6 of these because I have never seen them in my Dollar Tree, and now I have them and I'm happy. So I'm going to remove just the windmill portion of it. I am going to hot glue that little top portion there. That way it's as flat as possible on the back. Now, I couldn't get it very, very flat because the back portion was too thick to cut, but I made it work. I just glued it to the left-hand side of the board, and you'll see that here in a minute. But first, I am going to sand down the edges, giving it a more farmhouse distressed look. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I will be hot gluing that windmill. I'm going to hot glue it in the middle as well as the top. That way it's nicely secure. Using my Cricut, I cut the scripture that says, "And the wind ceased, and there was great calm." It's on Mark 4:39. I love the scripture, and I thought it went great with the windmill. So I'm just going to place it there on the other side of the windmill. And if you do not have a Cricut, you can always print this out and use so many methods of transferring it, whether it's Mod Podge or just carbon paper. There's so many ways you can do it. So look how beautiful it turned out. I'm so excited about this little sign. I think it's so cute. It can go in any decor and it's very farmhouse-ish. Alright, for this next DIY, I'm going to take these 2 planters from the Dollar Tree, again from their like garden section, and I am going to hot glue them together, hot glue them and E6000 them together. That way I have a short-term or a quick bond as well as a long-term bond, and I'm just going to hot glue them to each other, and you see here how I do it. Once both planters were nicely secure and the glue was dry, I am now going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. What I'm creating here is a mini, like a wine barrel. At first I'm like, I don't think this is going to be right. I just love the style of the planters. It already had that look. So I thought I'm going to try and I love to hear what you think, if you think I nailed it or failed it in trying to create a little wine barrel.
Could you hold my hand, look me in the eyes? You and me, yeah, that's all I need, and I'll be all.
Once the paint was dry, I am going to distress it using a 60 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to focus on the edges and a little bit here and there just to give it a little bit more of a farmhouse look. But if distressed look is not your look, you can certainly leave that step. I'm going to take these upholstery tacks, and at first I thought I would just remove the little like pointy part and hot glue them, but it wasn't working out. I couldn't cut the little pointy part deep enough. It was just not working out. So I decided to just drill a hole with a small drill bit and then hot glue them, making sure that the little pointy part goes right in the hole, and it worked out well. I did that all on the top and the bottom rim as well as in the middle.
I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you. All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love. All that we have is each other.
Using my Cricut, I cut the phrase Farmhouse Vineyard Established. I think it was 1904. I don't know. I just picked any date or any year. I'm going to use the farmhouse one for the top part. I did make a couple cuts to the transfer tape because it has that round shape. It just easier to cut, and that way you don't have like a tilted word. And I did the same thing for the bottom one.
Promise you won't leave my side. I hope who I am is enough for you. If I'm giving you my love, giving you my love, love. Tell me what you wanna do. I'll do anything. As long as I can be here with you, everything's alright. I'll be right here. I swear that I'll stay here with you. Hold me closer. I wanna stay here with you.
And we're just about done with this one. I'm just going to finish transferring the vineyard, and I think it turned out super cute. Let me know what you think. Do you think it looks like a wine barrel? Or do you think it just looks like something? Let me know down in the comments. I like it. I think it turned out super cute.
All that we have is each other now. I promise I won't leave your side. Be who you are and you'll be enough. If you're giving me your love, giving me your love.
Alright, so for this next DIY, I am going to take this piece of scrap board that I had in the garage. You've probably seen me using several. They all came from the same piece. I just cut them in different pieces and sizes. This one, I'm just going to give it one pretty heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And then once it was dry, I distressed it pretty heavily using a 220 grit sandpaper along with my electric sander. I do make sure that I wipe it down very, very well, because the dust is so fine when you're sanding that, for example, for this decal that I'm using from Dollar Tree, it just wouldn't stick right. So just make sure it's nicely dusted. This decal I got very recently at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it was beautiful. I'm only going to use the part where it says bloom from within, but I think the other portion is very pretty as well. But for the size of the board, I just thought it would be very appropriate to use just the wording. So I'm just going to place it towards the top, a little bit on the tilted side. And then I'm going to take these, I think these are lavender. I honestly don't know where I got them. I don't remember. I've had them for a while. Maybe Dollar General? I'm not sure. But they're beautiful, and I have several bundles of them, so I thought it'd be super cute and appropriate for the sign. I'm going to join them together using some nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and then attach it to the bottom with hot glue, and that's it for this one. Super simple, super cute, perfect for spring coming up, and how easy and so inexpensive.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see beauty.
All right, for this next DIY, I am going to take this little tiny oil jar, which I think is super adorable. Look at the super cute, tiny little cork. It's so cute. I'm going to remove the cork because I'm going to make this into a little planter. I actually using my Cricut again. I cut out the word home, and I'm going to place it right in the center, in the front of the jar.
I know the sign was given. It's in the way you move and in the sound of your heart. We tend to fall.
All right, so now I am going to add these boxwood. These are part of just like this hanging boxwood that I got from Amazon a while back. I think it was for like last summer. I still have some left over, and I'm just going to just place them and kind of dangle them, let them kind of fall from the top of the vase.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead.
All right, friends, for this next DIY, I am going to take this Dollar Tree bubble, I guess, sign. And I am going to remove, of course, the plastic, remove the hardware, and I'm also going to cut off the little pointy part from the side.
Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away I can tell that something's off, the way you look and how you pause when you talk. I think I said enough. You said you love for me something brand new. You said this is something.
After I have everything set, I am going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And what I am creating here is a very natural, neutral color Easter egg. So I know, is it too early for Easter? I don't know. I just thought it would look super cute. Now, after I kind of did this egg, I'm like, oh, it's not a perfectly egg, but I guess not all eggs are, perfect, right? So after the paint was dry, I am going to just draw a couple lines. I'm going to be adding some more moss, but this time I'm just going to add, like the regular moss. Which one? I don't know what this one is called. I forgot. But I didn't want to work with the reindeer moss anymore. It was too stinky. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to start hot gluing and adding moss. And this time I'm going to pack and then I'm going to start removing any excess and then adding more hot glue and adding moss as needed. And I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom portion of the egg.
Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry, 'cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know, if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Ooh.
After I had the moss where I wanted it, I'm going to take a permanent marker and I'm just going to trace the edges. I want to get a little bit more dimension, a little bit of just a small amount of distress. And as you can see there, I kind of messed up a little bit. No big deal. I just filled it in. It just looks like a little bit of distress. And I'm going to even it out and add a couple more here and there. After I'm done with that, I am going to take some Dollar Tree carrots. These little carrots, I just recently found them. They're super adorable. Um, they are foam inside and they're orange. And I contemplated painting them, but I'm just going to leave them as is. But I will be removing the top little greenery because I just thought it just needed a little bit more oomph to it. And then I'm going to replace them with these grassy florals that I get on Amazon. Guys, I do have an Amazon store. If you have never visited, I have all my favorite supplies there. And if you want to check it out, I do have the link in the description box. So as you can tell, it just looks so much better with this greenery on top. I'm going to hot glue them to the bottom of the egg. That way they look like they're just lying around in the grass. And then I'm going to take more of that buffalo check ribbon. I'm going to add a very simple bow to the top. And we'll be done with this one.
Be honest for a second. Yeah, you're being over your head, babe. 'Cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you. I think I said enough. You said you love for me something brand new. You said this is something.
All right, friends, as I hot glue here the bow, oh my gosh, how cute is this little egg? I just love it. And I have so many more of these little signs. I think I'm going to make a couple more of these eggs, but
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head.
Alright, so for this next DIY, I am going to use this Dollar Tree flower pot. It's a tin. We've all seen them, right? I am going to place tape right on the top rim, just enough to cover the letters and the words that already came on it.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spreading out.
And I am going to give it one pretty heavy coat of Waverly chalk paint in the ink tone.
I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void, but you broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame. And ooh, I was done feeling hopeless, screamed out loud.
I'm going to remove the tape while the paint is still wet. I just like doing that way better. I'm not concerned with it being super straight. So the line, I'm not concerned because we're going to cover it using this ribbon from Michael's that I recently got, a bundle of 50 pieces of different types of ribbon in the black, gray, and white tones. And this was one of them. And I'm just going to hot glue it right where that black and the tin meet. I am now going to add some more of that floral foam from Dollar Tree and then start adding these little white flowers from the Dollar Tree, which I think are so beautiful. I'm going to add about 3 bundles of them. And first I'm going to clip each branch off of it so that I can place them so it looks a little bit more natural. And we are just about done with this one, guys. This one turned out so high-end. I love the way it just looks so fresh, so spring-like, but yet very farmhouse. Alright guys, so for this DIY, I am going to take one of these cookie trays from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Stay with me now till the morning light. Before you turn away, I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you.
Once the top was dry, I also did the bottom.
I swear that I'm sober, just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be?
Once it was all dry, I am going to take this decal from the Dollar Tree and I am going to place it on the tray. I am going to kind of tilt it a little bit, and what it turned out to be super beautiful is that it actually hangs over the edges, which I think is kind of like unique, and I really love the way it just turned out. And it kind of goes with the whole infinity kind of love, you know, like it overflows through the edges. I don't know. I just thought that to myself. So the way I'm doing it here is I'm sticking it from the middle out, making sure that I go little by little so that way I can go through the bends on the sides and then it flows very, very smoothly. All right, so now I'm going to take these leftover little pots from succulents from the Dollar Tree. I kept them because I just thought they were cute size, and I'm just going to add some E6000 as well as hot glue and hot glue them to each corner on the bottom of the tray.
Maybe I'm just too weak, maybe I'm just afraid of being alone. Well, I don't care, 'cause right now I feel the love that we said we would burn. Oh, I know that you feel it too. I know that I told you we're over, I swear that I'm sober, just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right, we'll find the remedy, or would you stay with me now?
I am now going to take some of this matte Mod Podge and just seal everything. So I'm just going to cover it, give it one pretty heavy coat on the top. I'm not going to do the bottom because it's not really needed. And that way it's nice and sealed and protected, and we'll be done with this one, guys. I so love this one. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I did this. I think it turned out super chic, but very farmhouse.
Stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right, we'll find the remedy, or would you stay with me now till the morning? Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight.
All right, so for this next DIY, I'm going to use one of these jars from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to wipe the front of it with some alcohol. That way it's nice and clean and there's no grease from, fingers and just no crud or anything. We want to make sure that it's nicely clean. Using my Cricut, I cut this little wreath stencil, and I am going to use the same technique that I said earlier. I have this piece of transfer tape already cut from a previous project. I'm just going to double it up and make one so that I don't have to cut and waste more tape. I'm going to place it right in the front. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be etching this glass. I have never done this before. I recently saw somebody else doing it on Instagram and it completely inspired me to try it out. I love to try it out, new things, especially when it comes to crafting and creating. So first time ever using it here with you right now. So I was a little nervous. So I make sure that I really flatten out that stencil. Now I made the mistake and I did not give it enough room on the one side here. So I added a little bit more of just regular painter's tape. That way when I'm adding the etching cream, it's not going to go over the edge.
Everything turned upside down. I almost lost track of time as weeks went by. I couldn't get him off my...
Using this etching cream that I got on Amazon. I do have it on my Amazon store. Actually, a lot of the supplies, my favorite supplies, paint, everything, I do have on my Amazon store. If you've never checked it out, check it out. It is down in the description box. I'm going to use a Q-tip and just kind of dab and making sure that every part of the stencil is covered. And the way I see it is the more the better. Just making sure that it's all there. So I'm just dabbing, dabbing, dabbing. And then I'm going to let it sit between 5 and 10 minutes. I actually ended up doing it more like 17 minutes because I forgot. But nonetheless, between 5 and 10 minutes should be fine. And then I just washed it off with water. Now, I don't know if I could have used my fingers. I know it's really dangerous for the skin if you let it sit on your skin. But I think washing it off was fine. I was absolutely fine. Once you remove it, you'll see that it's been etched. And I think it turned out so cute. I was so happy with the way it turned out. It's very subtle, but I just love things like that. If you know me by now, you know that I love simplicity and things that are very subtle and simple. And it just makes my heart happy. So similar to the tin can that we did earlier, I am going to just paint just the top portion of this jar. I'm going to give it 2 coats, dry in between with my heat gun, which again, I also have on my Amazon store. And then I'm going to do the same thing and I'm going to use some of that leftover ribbon from earlier and hot glue it to the edge where the black and the glass meet.
Tell me how we lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't want to let you go. Cause we wanted different things and I have to deal with it. But it's not easy, so tell me how to let go. Cause you really seem to know how to carry on your own. Ever since I got a good look in his eyes, I just knew that he was special. He said he wanted to take it slow, but I couldn't help that I wanted to take it to the next level. Cause I wanted that great love, like standing in the middle of a bonfire. You don't know how you got there, but you hold tight, knowing that you can't get burned. Just tell me how we lost track of everything but each other. I honestly don't know. And tell me how we messed up, drifting away from each other. Didn't want to let you go. Cause we wanted different things and I have to deal with it. But it's not...
I'm going to add some of these beautiful florals from the Dollar Tree. Look how beautiful they are. They don't even look like they're from the Dollar Tree. And that's it, guys. This one is super simple, so beautiful. I really love the way it turned out.
Not long ago you got hurt, someone did you wrong. I can see it in your eyes, it's like your fire is gone.
All right, so for this next sign, I am going to use another one of those boards. This is part of that same board I used in the first sign. This is just part of the leftover. And it's around the same size, and I'm just going to give it another rough 1 coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint and the linen white. And then once again, sanded it down with a 220 grit sandpaper, this time just focusing more on the edges. Once I was done with that, I am now going to take this Dollar Tree decal. It says, "Let your dreams take flight," which is beautiful. And this is going to be a really good example of me just kind of placing it lightly, and then until I have the other one placed in place, and that way I can move it as needed. What a beautiful, beautiful color gold tone. And I am using a lot of white because these decals just look great against that white. But I think any of these and any other color, lighter color, I think will look great. Like maybe like a light pink or a baby blue will look very beautiful as well. So now that I have it where I need it to be, I'm just going to press it down. And this one, I am going to have these little eye hooks on the board. So I'm just going to screw a screw on the sides, just about a 1/2 inch from the top, and then unscrew it back out. That's just to give me a nice hole so that I can screw in the eye hooks. And then I am going to take a small screwdriver to help me out because it does get tight there. And that way it'll be all the way in. And I'll do that on the same side as well, or on the other side as well.
Take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night.
I am now going to take some more of that jute twine from Walmart. You can also use the jute twine from Dollar Tree. This is just what I have on hand. Walmart has a larger quantity and it's pretty inexpensive, so I do like to buy it there. I'm just going to thread it through each eye hook, and then I'm just going to tie it on the top, and it's going to have like a double jute twine hanging rope, and I think it looks super cute. Another beautiful, beautiful design with that Dollar Tree decal.
When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too.
All right, guys, so this next sign, I am going to use this Dollar Tree canvas, and I am going to use some foam board from the Dollar Tree as well. I am going to use the canvas here to kind of measure out and be able to know where I want to cut using my X-Acto knife. Basically, what I want to create is a kind of like a base, and to create a little bit more, a larger sign, or give the illusion of a larger sign, and also create like a border. So I'm just going to cut it to size, and the more exact the cut, the better and the nicer the sign's gonna look. I'm going to use Waverly chalk pen. This is in the tone ink, and I'm just going to paint just about 1 to 2 inches on each side and let it dry. I am now going to take the canvas. I'm not going to paint it or anything. I love the tone, the natural tone it had. I'm just going to place hot glue on all the edges and then hot glue it right on top.
Heading back to what used to be home, passing by those little towns I know so well, stopping for gas and then I'm behind the wheel again.
I am now going to take this Hello Sunshine decal from the Dollar Tree, and once again just place it evenly on the board, and that's it for this one. I'm going to add a small jute twine on the back with hot glue just to show you another way that you can hang these boards, especially like this one, which is very, very lightweight. And what a beautiful board, what a beautiful sign that you can place anywhere in your home.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running this
For this next DIY, so simple guys, anyone can make this. I'm going to use these jumbo crafting sticks that I got at Walmart. They come a whole bunch for like, I want to say it was like $3. And I am going to use several here. I am going to take 3 and then a 4th one I am going to crisscross, hot gluing them together. That way it'll be nicely secure. And I'm just making sure that the stick that is across actually stays within the 3. So I'm making sure that the circle part kind of matches with the top and the bottom. I'm going to create another one with 3, and then I'm going to create 2 of them with just 2.
Going back to my old hometown, picking up the years I leave behind. Getting in my car, I drive as memories fly by. Driving by the fields I used to run through, where you were chasing me. We were riding out under the bleachers when no one could see.
So what I want to create with these little panels now, I am going to create a very farmhouse style floral vase. So I'm going to take this scrap piece of foam board. This is just so that the florals that I add does not go all the way through, and it also acts a little bit more for stability for the vase. So I'm just going to hot glue it just about, I don't know, maybe about 1.5 inches from the bottom. Now this one here, some of the craft sticks were a little bowed, so I did have to take a piece of another one and just hot glue it on top just to add or to keep them straight. But that's it. I just only had it to add it to that one. And then I am going to hot glue all of the sides, making it a nice sturdy vase. And I'm also going to hot glue all the edges to each other, and that way it kind of brings it all together.
Sweet memories of a town I loved, but oh, changed when you left. I keep on asking myself in my mind, were you the one that got away? Moved a few times but ended up in Nashville. Tried to settle my restless soul. Got a job that felt like forever when I met you. You made me happy, we danced through the night. Life was music and I was your wife. Time flies and the years went by.
Once everything was dry and all together, it's time to give it one pretty heavy coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Sweet memories of a town I loved, but oh, changed when you left. I keep on.
And once the paint was dry, I am now adding some antiquing wax. This is by Waverly in their brown tone. I'm just adding them here and there just to add a little bit of dimension and a distressed look.
Myself in my mind, were you the one that got away? Went for the dream, but I got lost. This house I leave is nothing like us. Chased happiness, ended up on a one-way street.
I am now going to wrap jute twine all around. I want this to look like the jute twine is kind of holding together these wooden sticks, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to wrap it around twice and make a very simple knot in the front.
Nowhere, that's why I leave. Past the creek where we used to swim. Jump the fence before the summer begins. And getting cool in the summer heat with you, my sweet. Sitting in the back of your car.
And now I'm going to add these grassy florals that I got on Amazon, really inexpensive, and I use them all the time. I love how bright and how versatile they are. And this little vase turned out so adorable. Gosh, I would say this is very close to being my favorite from today, but I'll let you know which one is my favorite at the end.
This road to take us far. Now I've been way too long. I'm going home. Oh, sweet
right, so for this next DIY, I am going to take 2 of the canvases from the Dollar Tree and remove the canvas from both of them. Once I had the frames all set, I am going to hot glue them together long ways. So I'm going to create like a long frame for this next DIY. Once I have them hot glued, I am going to turn them around and staple them for more stability. And then I am going to give it 1 coat of Waverly chalk paint in their ink tone.
Heading back to what used to be home, passing by those little towns I know so well, stopping for gas and then I'm behind the wheel again. Driving is like a spiritual cleanse where every mile is a new beginning and every bend holds a new end. Eyes on the road, don't lose control. I'm speeding fast to chase my soul. I'm driving to get away.
Once the paint was dry, I am going to add some crafting chicken wire. This is very flexible, a lot easier to work with than the real chicken wire from the hardware store. And I'm going to staple it in place and then cut the excess so that I have a nice fit to the frame. And then I am going to make sure that anything that is sticking out that would scratch or cut anything or anyone, I'm going to make sure that I fold them inwards, and that way they're not sticking out. And then I decided to add this ribbon. This is actually not ribbon. This is actually part of a Dollar Tree hat that I pulled apart several months ago for DIYs that I did then. And I'm just going to have whatever I have left over. I'm just going to wrap it or hot glue it to the front of the frame. This will give it just some texture that I just kind of wanted it to have. And yeah, I'm just going to hot glue it, and then I'm going to paint the ribbon black as well.
Running through emotions high and low, holding on or letting go. I'm fighting another day. Neon lights in the fast lane life, riding high, reaching for the sky. I had it all but lost and fell back down again. Spent my time playing the game where every single day was a losing battle and every drink was a dead end. Eyes on the goal, don't lose control. I'm living fast, I've lost my soul. I'm driving to get away. Running through emotions high and low, holding on or letting go. I'm fighting another day.
And now it's time to add some florals. I'm just going to make a little swag here for the top of the frame using Dollar General florals as well as some Dollar Tree frosted grassy picks. And I'm going to secure it in the middle with some jute twine, wrap it around, secure it with hot glue, and then I'm just going to hot glue it to the top of the frame. And that way it just adds a very, I don't know, maybe farmhouse, modern farmhouse look to it. I really love the way this turned out. It's a perfect place to add pictures. I will be adding some mini clothespins to it. You can put notes on here. I just think it's perfect for a small little wall area that may be needing some wall decor.
How did I get caught? The walls are caving in. How come I got lost?
Alright, so for this next DIY, I am going to use this jar from the Dollar Tree and this tape as well from the Dollar Tree. I removed the lid from the jar, and I'm now going to place the tape in random shape, but it all turned out to be kind of like an X form. And basically what I'm trying to do here, I'm going to paint the jar in that black ink tone paint from Waverly, and I want to be able to remove the tape and then have the clear glass show through. When I painted it black, it actually painted it very well, except I should have done 2 coats. At first, I thought it was sufficient because it looked dark enough, but in the end, after I had already removed the tape, I realized that I'm gonna put little lights inside to light it up. It was not enough. I should have done 2 coats. So if you're gonna redo something like this or recreate something like this, my suggestion is to do 2 coats. I should have done it, but once I removed the tape, it would have been very difficult to kind of like match this design. So I just left it as is, but just, live and learn kind of thing. I did get some bleed through, so I did have to clean that up with a wet rag.
Lost road, crossroad, ocean and sky. So searching, soul hurting, fire.
I wrapped some jute twine at the top of the jar, wrapped it around a few times, made a simple knot in the front. And then I added the lights that I mentioned earlier. They are from the Dollar General. They're $5 and a good size of them. You get 30 lights. They're battery operated. And at first I thought I could just put them in just like this, like they came out of the package. But I did have to remove the tie and just put them all in. But no big deal. It worked out in the end and it looked absolutely stunning.
Not long ago, you got hurt, someone did you wrong. I can see it in your eyes, it's like your fire is gone. Across your face, it is written across your face. If you wanna talk, I'm right here, not gonna leave your side. Just feel
All
free to
right, so
open
for
up.
this next DIY, I am going to use these 2 candle jars from the Dollar Tree. One's taller than the other one. And I'm going to wrap the bottom of the smaller one using this very thick and plush yarn from Michaels. I am going to hot glue just the bottom and the top portion of the yarn, and that way I don't have to hot glue all of it because I want to be able to squish it as I go. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we continue.
A buzz on and my favorite song is playing in a Broadway bar. Then you walk in and you're all alone, the hottest in the room by far.
So after I had the bottom one nicely secure, I'm just going to roll around a few times and then start squishing down to the bottom so that I have as little as possible gaps in between each thread.
Look up and our eyes lock and my heart falls straight out of my chest, baby. Your lips and your sweet smile, let me kiss it till I die. For the rest of our lives, yes, you and me were meant to be. For the rest of our lives, drop your guard, you take a ride.
I am going to hot glue the last thread there, and I am making sure that I made the cut right where I started the other one. That way all those seams are going to be towards the back of the jar or the vase. I keep calling it jar. What's wrong with me? I had a little gap there that I couldn't get further down, so I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue and a small piece of yarn just to cover it up, and that way it just kind of blends in.
'Cause you got what I want, oh, and I got what you need. For the rest of our lives, it's gonna be a done deal, just wait and see.
For the taller one, I am going to do the similar thing, except I am going to just wrap the middle portion.
Well, the sun's up, you wake up, an angel in the morning light.
All right, so now I'm going to take some jute twine from Walmart and I am going to start doing the same thing, making sure to start right where my yarn ended. And I'm going to wrap it around, not as much as the yarn, but maybe about 1.5 inches on top of it. And once again, secure it right where the other one ends, so that way all the seams are in the back of the vase.
Don't ever wanna leave, the bed's messed up just right. So we make love and we make plans, and God knows that I'm all about it. We're up
And for the taller one, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to do about 1 inch on top and 1 inch on the bottom.
I've known it since I met you. This love, it was a breakthrough. For the rest of our days, we'll be everything we want to be. For the rest of our lives. For the rest of our lives, yes, you and me were meant to be. For the rest of our lives, drop your guard and take a ride with me, 'cause you got what I want. Oh,
We're just about done with this one. I'm going to add some florals from the Dollar Tree, and I think these vases turned out so beautiful. They're just simple, very farmhouse, but almost very elegant, and I just really love the way they look.
and take a ride with me, 'cause you got what I want. Oh, and I got what you need. For the rest of our lives, it's gonna be a done deal, just wait and see. It's gonna be a done deal, just wait and see. It's gonna be a
For
done.
this next DIY, I am going to take some foam board from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to cut 2 pieces. And I am going to leave them the width of it, so about 20 inches wide. And then I am going to mark, or I marked 10 inches down, and now I'm going to cut using an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to do the same thing for the second piece and then hot glue them together.
I wish I had a little more time with you, baby. Time to figure out what this could be. I dreamt of a life in a small town that wasn't enough for you somehow. I just wish I had a little more time with you, baby. Weeks and months.
Using my Cricut, I cut out the phrase, "Keep life simple. There is beauty in simplicity." I was inspired by a sign that I saw on wayfair.com. And guys, it was so beautiful. So I took the same phrase, and now the sign doesn't look exactly like it, but I just love the message. If you follow me, you know that my slogan, I guess, is right. Let's keep it simple. I love simplicity, and I just thought this sign was perfect to have here at home. So I'm just going to transfer it just as kind of like what I saw on the inspiration piece. And then in a little bit, we're going to frame out the sign using some ribbon.
And years they passed, and I knew it wouldn't last. When tears streamed down my face, my mama said, all the nights that end in heartbreak gonna pay off someday. And the pain that you're feeling gradually fades away. 'Cause growing up, falling in love, giving your all might not be enough. Just trust your head and your heart. That's what my mama.
I'm going to freehand a C here because I did not weed it out. So when I tried to find it in the garbage, but yeah, no, it was lost. So I just hand wrote it. I think it came out okay. All right, so I'm going to use this ribbon. It's kind of like a sweater ribbon. It's really cool. It's like a charcoal gray. And I'm just going to hot glue it on all the edges and just kind of frame the sign. And that's it, guys. I mean, such a simple one. I really love, again, the simplicity of it and the message. And of course, that ribbon is just so cozy. I really love it.
I wish I could freeze this moment, just never let it end. Walking through the snow when you're taking my hand. All of those late nights on your couch when we just talked until midnight. I just wish I could freeze this moment, babe. Weeks and months and years they pass.
All right, friends, this is it for today. Wow, this is a lot of DIYs, a lot of Dollar Tree inspiration, and I know it was a ton of them, but I'd love to hear which one stood out to you the most. Which one do you think was your favorite? All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I am so thankful for each and every one of you. If you're visiting for the first time, I hope you consider subscribing and joining our YouTube family. And if you are returning, thank you so, so much. I hope you have a blessed day. There is a link here with tons more of inspiration. Check it out. I'll see you later. Bye.